Welcome to another episode of Sauti Africa. Thank you for watching us and liking. For those who are joining us for the first time today, remember to subscribe to Faraja TV. I'm your host by the names of Zaide Patricia. Today we are going to be talking about addiction and how people deal with them. Our guest today is Fahad bin Mohammed. Fahad, thank you for coming to Sauti Africa.
Thank you for having me as well.
We are so happy to host you today. So Fahad is going to tell us about his journey through addiction, how he battled with it, and well, the pros and cons, the goods he has got out of it and the bad side of it all. So Fahad, you can start by giving us a brief history of who Fahad is.
Fahad. I don't know. Fahad is an aspiring business mogul who wants to have. Then I'm also a mental health advocate that I'm doing passionately, trying to spread as much awareness as possible towards this campaign, and amongst other things.
Okay.
Yes.
So speaking of addiction,
Yes.
Fahad, I am very curious to know, like, as you, what put you in that situation? How did you start using all those substances, and how did you get there?
Okay, so I've never had someone ask me that upfront, but I think it's a whole general concept. I think the addict in me is this. We relate as addicts. So what led me to start using is more or less the same factors that lead most people to start using. It might be genetic inheritance, it might be the environment you're in, the conditioning, there's peer pressure, there is conforming to society. So there's a lot that got into my usage, but I think from back then, I just didn't know my place in society. I didn't feel valued enough. I didn't feel loved enough. I was insecure. And all these things accumulated into me becoming the addict that I am.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I should ask, when did you start, like specifically, at what stage of your life?
Did I start using substances? I started using substances when I was in P4. Yes, I can't remember the year I was in P4, but yes, P4. But prior to that, I'd had some other, the caffeinated drinks, Red Bull, the coffees, and occasionally you'd sip some things you didn't understand. But yeah, from back then, I remember when I tested that Red Bull, I think I took like 2 that day. I think I was in P2, and I felt like, yes, this is it. This is it. So as time progressed, this was just 2 years later, I was now smoking marijuana.
As a kid?
Not as a kid, but at that time I wasn't considering myself as a kid because, I was big-headed. I won't even say I was a bit big-headed.
Were your parents aware of the situation that was going on?
No, they were not aware. They were totally... Actually, my mother was not aware. I will not bring my father into this picture, but my mother was not aware.
So how did you go through school?
I didn't have problems in school. I was never a poor performer. Thank God.
So during your school time, you didn't be on any of those?
No. During school, we were giving it.
Oh.
Yeah, we were giving it. We were really giving it because we were not the first people to be addicts in this society. So obviously there were people always above you. There was access. There were people drinking alcohol. There were people drinking their cigarettes. There were those doing their kubas. Every setting, home, social, street, you're in holidays, you're in school. I mean, there was access to whatever you wanted to use.
Because I mean, okay, I should say I'm kind of still in shock. Like in school, like how do you enter school with those things? Or you have someone who sneaks them in for you? And then when it comes to the keeping, because there are those random checkups and what. So yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how they would even get us. I mean, these younger generations, as things progress, you will set the rules, but the rules people will always break the rules.
Okay.
They'll always find a way of breaking the rules. So yes, I actually do remember, I think I was in senior 6, I think the school had had enough. They had had enough. They were like, first of all, they checked the whole school.
Yeah.
Then they checked our hostels. But, we knew what they wanted. We knew what they were looking for. We knew who they wanted. So, but they didn't find it. So they came back the next day and got me from
Randomly.
class, and they still went back to check through my things. But I mean, we're like always like 15 steps ahead of the administration.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're in bed with our scaries. We're in bed with, I mean, there was a whole network. There was literally, the network was so huge that even fellow students didn't know. Yeah. So if you're not doing it, I mean, to each their own. Yeah. So that's how we made it through school. It was never really something that really, really bothered me. But it took its toll. It did take its toll on me when I was in school, when I was still in school. It really did take a toll on me. Yeah.
So, at what point did you reach and you couldn't do without it anymore? Like, when did you hit rock bottom, I should say?
Rock bottom?
Yeah.
I think it was when I really now understood that I was alone. Yes. I had no one to turn to. I didn't have my friends. I didn't have relatives. I didn't have anyone in my corner.
You didn't have smoke mates anymore, I should say.
No, I mean, but I mean, by the time I had mid 20, I'd been arrested a couple of times. I'd been institutionalized already. So the average human being may not really understand what it means to be confined in a situation. Let's say if they confined us in these premises, it would take a mental toll on us.
Yeah.
Just like COVID has taken a huge mental toll on most people. But picture those restrictions and then multiply them like 100 times. Imagine your rights as a human being being taken away. I mean, now people are thinking on your behalf. You have no say whatsoever in your life. So that is when I had really, really reached rock bottom. When I had burnt all bridges, when I had no meaningful connection in this world, and I was totally alone. That is when I knew.
Let me take us back a bit.
Yeah.
So, like, which kind of substances, to be specific, were you using?
Whatever was available, to say that
That
is.
includes?
That includes, I mean, there were cigarettes, the weed, occasional cocaine, the benzodiazepams,
Wow.
the heroin,
New names.
the mairungi. I mean, bring it, we use it, we move.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are very many addicts who, I mean, there are those who subscribe to Narcotics Anonymous, there are those who subscribe only to Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, people who just drink but don't smoke or don't use other hard substances. Then there are those that use other hard substances and smoke and don't drink. But my addiction was classified by just usage. Whatever I could get my hands on worked for me.
So, yeah, now that you had reached that point of getting institutionalized, how was life with your relatives, family?
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. Because I was also crazy. Like, not just crazy that you have run mad, but I didn't want to know. Like, I really did want to know. As in chichiche bangamba. You get, like, no one really knows what you're going through in that moment, but everyone is being so opinionated. Even when you're down, people still want to kick you down. People are calling you mad. They are saying, oh, you're Bamologa. They are crediting things to witchcraft. You get it? And it reached a point where I just had to let people go and just think what they want to think. And I just had to do me. Because I was only getting, it was painful from all corners of the world. Because addiction is painful. There's certain stages where it's really, really painful.
So do you have people you really appreciate that they didn't give up on you, even in that situation, they still understood you? Or like maybe...
I won't say understood, but they didn't give up on me.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have those people.
In the institutions, like how long were you there? There was no back and forth?
Oh no, there was back and forth. Oh sure, I mean you get arrested, you'd fight, you come out, you go to rehab, you come out, relapse, nokola kunsasage, then you relapse, they take you back to rehab. I mean, the cycle, the madness, the insanity. But I had people who believed in me. I had, specifically, there was one therapist, one counselor. I actually think the Lord intervened, and she's one of the reasons why I'm still alive today. Yeah, she took a keen interest in me, because I mean now it gets to a point where even these ordinary rehabilitation centers can't handle you. Like, people didn't think I would make it. Like, people didn't think I would be here, because I'd been diagnosed with manic depression, that is bipolarity. There was psychosis, drug-induced psychosis. There were so many things I was diagnosed with. I was told if I ever used again, I would become schizophrenic. They told me I'd have to use medication all my life, like a cancer patient or a diabetic patient. I mean, they told me so many things that were going to define my life, but I mean, here I am today.
Yeah, that's so good.
So I believe if I could make it through that, I will not call it all that much. But I mean, if I could come from my life being defined by such terms to me being here active and sober and healthy and enjoying my life, I mean, it's a blessing from the Lord.
Yeah. So when do you sit up and be like, Fahad, this is enough, I deserve better, or maybe this is not my life anymore?
It reached a point, I think, from around 2016, 2017. Actually, I was even still in school. But in my vacation, actually, is when things really started moving really, really fast. Like, really, really fast. I mean, I was on my own. The money was good. The amenities for a young man, young boy like me were really good. I mean, you have the repertoire, there's an image you perceive yourself in. You may not be famous, you may be popular, whatever, but I mean, the girls wanted you, the drugs were around, the money was around, everything seemed to be going really good, till it wasn't. The speed we were moving at was really, really, really aggressive. And when I really got tired, like I got tired of being tired. I got tired of the depression, I got tired of the anxiety, I got tired of the desire of unconsciousness. My life had lost meaning, like it lost so much meaning, and I was so hopeless. I didn't have any good thoughts, I didn't have a plan for tomorrow, I didn't see anything good in the foreseeable future for me. And I was really down for the count. I was defeated.
So you sat yourself down and got yourself out of the whole situation, I should say.
After all those interventions and whatnot, eventually, yes, I went back and relapsed. But this relapse was empowered, because that's the whole essence of these treatment models of rehab, psychotherapy and whatnot. They don't give you sobriety. They can't guarantee your sobriety, but they will empower you. They equip you with the tools and the knowledge to know that, okay, yes, I have a problem, I have a vice, but how do I go about it? So by the time I had reached, like, now after being empowered, I was still in the gutter, and I was really, really tired. So I was like, you know what? I can't go back to rehab. I can't afford to be arrested again. I can't afford to pay for my own therapy. So, I mean, let me use the tools they've given me and work on myself. Okay. Yeah.
So when you come out, because I believe that those maybe people you were relating with then, before, did they learn from you?
Oh, some people, I mean, do pick a leaf, but some are still in the gutter, because our biggest problem is education and ignorance. We're ignorant about the subject matter. We don't, everything we know about addiction is wrong. So some people have benefited from my presence and my newfound state, but majority are still in the gutters. But I know as time progresses, hopefully we can help ourselves. Yeah, there's individual change, but what I want us to strive for now is societal change.
Okay. So, because you talked about being a mental health
Advocate.
advocate.
Yes.
So, do you have like people you talk to, people you've helped get out of the situations like that
Oh, yes.
currently?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, every day, the number of addicts in Uganda is appalling.
Yeah.
I've taken my own relatives to rehab. I've taken childhood friends to rehab. We have offered counseling and therapy to whoever needs help because, you know, the confidentiality and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yes, the outreach is, people are really getting help. I mean, I didn't know how it would be perceived by my coming out and saying, okay, yes, I have a problem, but I don't think this is my problem alone.
Okay.
This is a problem that has affected society. It's no longer an individual problem. Yes, there's individual addiction, but I think as a society we have all lost the mark.
Okay.
So I believe with creating enough awareness within the society and community, we can actually create some really, really great transformation and change.
So, where do you see yourself 5 years from now in that line of being a mental health advocate?
5 years from now, hopefully having created as much awareness as possible. Because the reality of the issue is the drugs are here, the pornography is here, the social media is here, the music is here.
Yeah.
All the things in this world we found
Yeah.
are here to stay. Because inevitably, the world may lose the war on drugs, but I don't believe that should be our community. Because taking an example from just Portugal, in 2000 they had one of the worst addiction problems in Europe. But actually 1% of their population was addicted to heroin. So what they did was the Prime Minister and the leader of opposition sat down and they're like, you know what? This Western model of trying to handle addicts can't work. Because 100 years ago, what the US and Britain did was they criminalized drugs. So what happened is they not only set laws in those countries that affect individuals that are suffering from addiction, but they also imposed these rules on us. So this is criminalize the addicts, put them in institutions. I mean, strive for them so hard and make their lives so uncomfortable that eventually they will give up and stop being addicts, which was a wrong method. So what the Portuguese government did was they sat down with a panel of psychologists and scientists, and they came up with one of the most fascinating models. They did the total opposite of what the West wants us to do and what we're doing in Uganda as well.
Yeah.
They actually decriminalized all substances, alcohol. I mean, they really did contrary. And 15 years after the project was initiated, I mean, addiction is down 50%.
Oh.
Overdoses are down tremendously. Addiction is down tremendously. HIV is down tremendously. So it's not that they no longer have rehabilitation centers or whatnot, but they approach this from a society change, a society kind of perspective where let us empower these addicts. Let's stop putting them down. So they have created microloans for these addicts. They're getting jobs for these addicts. They're creating a situation where the addict has something to get up to in the morning for.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, I should say your story is really touching, inspiring for very many out there, those who have not yet started. Because, you know, as you said, it's a chain.
Yes.
It doesn't stop on you, or like you can never know when it will stop.
Yes.
And I just hope you continue touching very many people out there who are going through the same situation, supporting them, showing them that this is not the end of it all. Because trust me, society really takes a toll on people. But I appreciate you for sharing your story with us. Thank you so much. And I pray whoever views this and is going through that situation learns from you and really picks up a little.
Can I add? So just to get things straight a bit, from my own understanding, is let's stop trying to think that the opposite of addiction is sobriety. No. the opposite of addiction is connection. What these addicts lack most in their life is meaningful connections. These are people that have been traumatized. They have gone through so many things in their development into the human beings they are. So what they are lacking is genuine love and attention. I mean, the rate at which we're facing a problem in the world is so alarming that by 2024, 70% of all people who leave high school would have at least tested alcohol, done drugs, or smoked something, some mind-altering substances. And if we take into account these alarming stats and the fact that people who start using substances before they're 15 they're actually 7 times at a greater risk than those who start using when they're 22 and above. So let's try to mend our connections with these people. Let's stop singing war crimes, war songs against them. Let's start singing love songs to them. Let's start telling them, you know what, I love you whether you're using or you're not using. There's help for you if you need it. I'm here for you if you need it. And let's help get these people back into a position where, I mean, their life, they really understand that their life has meaning. Because at the end of the day, you can only give so much. But the onus is on you as well. If you know you're struggling with something out there, please reach out for help. Reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Me and my fellow colleagues out there will be doing as much as we can to educate you and create awareness. If ever you do need help, please reach out to anyone. It may not be us, it may be a loved one, it may be a close friend, but reach out for help and let's broaden the discussion on mental health because we have a very, very long way to go.
Okay. Thank you for watching us today. Fahad's story has been really, really inspiring, and I know there are very many youths out there who are dealing with addictions, and there are those who haven't yet gone into it, but maybe at some point they will. Let's not discourage them. Let's not abandon them. Let's not, give them that kind of treatment of making them feel like they're not part of society. Encourage them, support them, because it takes one to build a nation and support a nation. Thank you so much.